hello there, listeners. You guys are so cool, and we are dead and lovely. That's a good intro, isn't it?
Yeah. It was almost like you just walked into the room and our listeners were there, and you were like, "Oh, hey, there you are."
There they are. They're right here listening.
And I bet right now our listeners feel very welcomed.
Yeah, I hope that they do, because you guys are listening to the greatest horror movie review podcast in all the land, Dead and Lovely, here with your host with the most, Uncle Ben. And who's that man I got on the other end of this phone call?
Well, this is Hollywood Steven Spratling.
Hollywood Steve, how many times have you been the champ?
One. That's the only number of times you need to be the champ, because I'm never dropping the fucking title. Ric Flair, bring it, old man.
9-time loser.
Yeah, assholes.
How's them Hollywood Hills been treating you, Steve?
Pretty good. The weather's cooled down, and it's really, it's ugly here in the late fall and winter. It's just gray and brown, and yeah, it's not very pretty, but the weather is great. It's low 70s most of the time. Pretty great.
That's nice. I was wondering about that, though, because, here in the beautiful rolling hills of East Tennessee, I mean, it's just goddamn unbelievably beautiful right now.
Yeah, all the leaves and things. Yeah.
And it's been like, last fall, actually, it was not very pretty because it was ultra dry last summer. Last summer was
really?
Like, oh, dude, it was unbelievable. Like, one of the big prides of Tennessee is that everybody's garden tomatoes and stuff are unbelievable. It's like, you think you've had a tomato until you've had like an East Tennessee summer tomato.
A Granger County mater.
A Granger County mater, dude. They are something else entirely. So last year, it was so dry that like everybody's tomatoes were terrible. And then also the fall colors were just completely not in effect at all.
Oh,
like,
that sucks.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where everything just turned brown and fell off. But this year, I think there's been a sufficient amount of moisture to where the autumnal colors are just unbelievably vivid and beautiful.
Yeah.
It started getting kind of cold and shitty outside, which I'm not a fan of.
You just cuddle up and warm your home with a lovely fire.
Yeah.
Right?
A pumpkin spice fire.
A pumpkin spiced fire. Gluten-free, I hope.
Last week, I was sick as all hell, and you guys might be able to tell it in my slightly congested tone, but I'm feeling a whole lot better this week.
Awesome. You know what? I'm gonna do this Jesus Jones style, which is to say, right here, right now. I'm gonna tell you, I also was sick. I think every week in the past month we've mentioned how sick we've been.
I think so. Yeah, it's like either allergies or fucking viruses or whatever.
We might want to get tested for HIV or
compromised
or
immune
cancer.
systems.
We got some problems.
I think honestly though, like whenever you were here in town and we did those 2 live episodes, and I thought that I was having like a really bad allergy sinus kind of infection. Yeah, I was actually just sick.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think so.
I think I gave it to you.
I don't know. Also, my future nephew was sick. My brother-in-law is getting married, and there's a kid involved. He was sick.
Future nephew.
My future nephew. He was sick too, so I don't know. I think a lot of people were sick at that time, so I wouldn't blame you.
Right on. You know what, though? I blame it all on my dumb goddamn drummer, Justin, because he came...
Son of a bitch.
Son of a fucking bitch. He came to that Halloween party where you were.
I remember. I saw him.
He was a sniffly son of a bitch, and I think that he gave it to me. Oh, man.
Justin Stamey. You know what I hear about that guy? Trump voter.
I think I've heard he's a flat earthing motherfucker.
Oh, really? I bet he and Mitch talk about it all the time.
Of course they do, man. A couple of fucking hashtag flat earth friends.
Hashtag flat earth friends. I'd love to see that hashtag on Twitter and Instagram. Go for it, guys.
Have you been watching anything cool recently, Steve?
Man, I've been watching all sorts of cool things.
Yeah?
Primary, numero uno, my wife and I went and saw Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, goddamn.
Goddamn awesome.
I keep hearing it is the shit. Is it the best?
It's so fucking good. It is it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, similar. The tone, it's Taika Waititi, director of What We Do in the Shadows. It's so fucking good. Like, it's so fun, funny, and tell you what, that Cate Blanchett, pretty sexy as hella. So,
no doubt, she's hella sexy.
She's hella sexy.
Man, everybody I've talked to has said it's fantastic. My main man Andy Woods said that it was like Iron Man 1 level good.
Yeah, I'd say that.
Damn.
It probably is the best Marvel movie it's come out in a little while, but I mean, I still love Captain America, the second Captain America. I think that's my favorite, but it's not exactly funny. It's just a well done movie.
Sure.
But yeah, Thor, God, it was so good. It was really good.
I think probably my favorite of the Marvel flicks, man. I really do love a Guardians so much, man.
Yeah, it's so great.
And I do love the first Iron Man, and I really love the Avengers, man. The Avengers, I think, just has that wonderful balance of action, comic book drama, comic book humor. It's just a really wonderful, easy to watch, pretty looking movie. So
yeah.
And I mean, damn, Deadpool. There's so many good ones, man.
Deadpool's awesome. Yeah. Have you seen the preview for Black Panther?
Yeah, it looks dope, doesn't it?
It looks awesome. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Black Panther. One of the cooler characters in Marvel, specifically because he doesn't exactly have powers, really. He's like Iron Man, basically. Like his power is his armor.
Yep.
But he's a badass. Like, he's such a deep character, such an interesting character who has so much going on with, like, having to be the ruler of Wakanda and also having to be Black Panther. Like, it's a cool looking movie, and I hope I hope it does what it looks like it's doing. It looks serious. It looks like it's really gonna be, like, deep into Wakanda lore and stuff like that. That's all cool.
I think so too, and it'd be making all the white people nervous.
It does. That preview only had one white person in it, and that's Smeagol.
Lord of mercy.
Who plays Claw. Yeah. I think, that will definitely make white people nervous. It's a thing, like, just like, the number of kids dressing up as Wonder Woman obviously shot up because of Wonder Woman.
Totally.
And girls can see the possibility of being a badass much clearer now. Like,
I know, it's wonderful.
Hopefully Black Panther will have that same sort of effect where people can be like, cross that racial divide and recognize that, like, we're all people. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We're in a situation right now, obviously, where there are white supremacists marching in the streets and things like that. But I want to believe that it is a big deal and it is a problem, but I want to believe that it is a small group of people. That it's not as big as people want to believe.
I hope you're right.
But racism is fucking rampant, so, like, it's not just marching in the street and yelling, take back our land or whatever. We're all racist in some way, and the only way you can work at that is to just try to improve and listen and try to be better, and hopefully at some point we'll all get over it. But I don't want to believe that the white supremacists are winning.
Right, yeah, exactly. Me too, man. And you know what? Speaking of Wonder Woman, man, I saw a thing the other day that made me so unbelievably stoked. Apparently, Gal Gadot is how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah.
She said that if Brett Ratner, notorious rumored sexual offender Brett Ratner, is involved with the Wonder Woman 2 movie, she is not on board.
Yeah. Hopefully that pans out, because they can't lose her. She's fucking perfect.
Yeah. I know, man. And just what a fucking awesome awesome statement. I mean, dude, that is that is bringing the fucking super powerful woman into the real world to be like, hey, look, I know that I'm important, and I know that people love me, and I know people love me at this character, so I'm gonna swing my weight around, and if this piece of shit is on this next movie, I'm not doing it. That is fucking badass. I'm so excited for that, dude.
Yeah.
You know, I watched a couple of good things this week too, Steve.
Oh, what'd you watch?
So, number one, while I was sick and basically living on the couch for a number of days, I watched a couple of good flicks. So our dear friends over at the Say You Love Satan podcast, they announced that they were going to be doing Society on their show. So I was like, I'll watch this so I can enjoy the episode. Have you ever seen that fucking movie?
I have not. I hear it's crazy.
It is fucking insane, dude. Like, all that I can... I don't want to spoil anything about it.
Okay.
But do you remember on our Nightmare on Elm Street episode, I talked about, like, that dream that I had when I was a little kid about my parents, like, being, like, cannibals that wanted to eat me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to eat you. They're still working towards it, I'm sure.
No.
They're waiting until you put on some weight.
Never. Not with my new low-carb diet.
Oh, man.
So imagine that dream, only it's like, replace eat me with, like, fuck me.
Oh, okay.
This movie is batshit insane, dude. It came out, I think, 88. It's on, can't remember if I watched it on, I think I watched it on Amazon Prime, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's on Shudder, too. I'm not positive on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Dude, you really need to watch that. I want to hear your thoughts on it. It is...
I will. I'll check it out.
Dude, especially the last, like, 15 or 20 minutes of the movie are just off the rails insane. Also, while I was sick, based on your recommendation, I watched a little picture called Ghoulies.
Ghoulies!
And it was the best fucking ever. I loved it so much.
That movie is crazy,
it's
and
nuts.
I love it.
It's nuts, dude. You know, again, you see the cover and you see, you know, this little ghoul popping out of the toilet and stuff. But then you watch the movie and it's all about, like, satanic ritual and shit.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's so weird.
I love it. We got to cover it on the show sometime, man.
We absolutely do. It's by Luca Berkovicki, who also did Rockula.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is about a vampire who starts playing guitar.
Oh, yeah, I remember you talking about that. Yeah. I watched that. I loved it. And then I also watched The Babysitter.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that Netflix original flick.
Yeah. How did you like it?
You know, I liked it okay. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was missing something. I'm not quite sure what. I can't even... It's one of those things. I hate to complain about something if I don't have a solution for it to offer.
Yeah.
But I liked it, but I didn't love it. But I would probably watch it again, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. I've seen it. I think we talked about it on the Fright Night episode.
We did,
yeah. I'm not a huge fan, but it's got a lot of great elements to it. But I'm with you. There's something off. Like, something's not working with it. I can't really name it either. I can't put my finger on it.
No.
It seems maybe too glossy. Like, it seems maybe too polished for a horror movie.
Right, yeah. The lighting and stuff was very, 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 very well done. Almost too well done.
Yeah. I also watched season 2 of Stranger Things.
Oh, sick! Really?
Week. Yeah, it's really good.
All right, let's just go ahead and spoiler alert this shit. I've been waiting to talk to you about this.
Spoiler alert! They go to the downside up.
Did you like it? How did you feel about it?
I really liked it. What they did is it's perfect television making. First season, you set up the world and the characters, and you obviously need to have a good conclusion to the first season. Because the first season might be all of it. That might be the whole show. People might not watch it. It might get canceled, etc. So you need a good ending, and they had a great ending. Second season, you get to expand. You get to move outward. And that's exactly how they did the season, by actually making the whatever it is, the upside down, spread outward. Sure. Like they used the concept of second season, you expand the world, and actually just expanded it literally. Yeah, it's real cool, and I love that we get to meet another person who was part of the program, 8.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of those things that hadn't really hit me until we met that character. But I'm like, if she's 11,
there's got to be others.
Yeah, where's 1 through 10 at?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil too much because it's really good. Some people had a problem with, I think, episode 7, which is the one where, 8 is revealed.
Right, 11 in the big city.
Yeah, 11 in the big city. And a lot of people thought maybe that one was not a great episode because it doesn't tell us what's going on back in the city. What is the name of the city? I can't remember. Anyway, Indiana. It's real good though, because what it does is it establishes the rest of the world. We're not stuck now in the little city, and
That's true.
Season 3 they can go more into that.
That's true. Yeah, and I'll tell you, man, like that episode, has been kind of universally panned by watchers of the series and stuff. Yeah. And whenever I was watching it, I liked it.
Yeah.
And then, like, afterwards, at the end of the series, I was kind of like, oh, that didn't really have much of a point to it. So it was kind of like an afterthought. I was like, wait, that episode didn't really amount to much. But I'll tell you, the reason that I did like it whenever I was watching it is, based on the whole aesthetic of the show, which is obviously super 80s and everything, it reminded me so much of the X-Men story where we first meet Rogue.
Yeah.
Because remember, she was with, like, the... was it the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or the New Mutants or something?
Yeah, she was with the Brotherhood of Evil... or Mutants. The Brotherhood of Mutants, they call themselves. Or the Morlocks. Was she with the Morlocks?
See, I can't remember. There were so many of those, like, evil, groups of mutants. I can't really remember either.
I would say definitely it was inspired by that.
Exactly.
Like, for sure.
Yeah, exactly, man. So it's like, I was watching it, and I was like, yes, I understand that this is kind of cheesy and a little on the nose and stuff like that, but it's like that is how storytelling was back then. So I wasn't that upset about it. It was only after the season was over that I was like, oh, well, that didn't really amount to much. But I think that it's something that we'll see, like you said, in the third season of the show. We'll see what it set up coming to fruition, I think.
Did you catch the little nod to the terrible damaged tattoo that Joker has in Suicide Squad?
No.
The gutter punk guy has right on his hairline damaged tattoo. I think it's almost like a joke. I think it's like they were like, I've seen this with Stranger Things, that they try to do things that other people have done and failed. Like they do it and do it in a way where it works. So, like, you don't even notice that he has this stupid little tattoo that says damaged on his hairline.
No, I didn't.
But it works. Like, that it's almost like, they're like, this is what you could have done with Joker if you really wanted to put stupid tattoos all over him. You could have just, instead of having, damaged fucking blazed on his head, just have it a small... I mean, it's so fucking on the nose. Damaged... A tattoo on your fucking head that says damaged? What the fuck? Fuck Suicide Squad.
God damn, it's so bad. It's so fucking bad, dude. I'll tell you what, too, though. I do like that this season of the show, it kind of did what I saw in... you watch Orange is the New Black, right?
Yeah.
Where, the first season of Orange is the New Black was all about Piper... surrounded by all these great, side dish kind of characters. But then the writers realized, man, people like the side dishes as much as they like the main course.
Yeah.
I feel creepy referring to women as side dishes, main courses, by the way. But I feel like they kind of did that with Stranger Things here, where it's like the first season was all about, Mike and Eleven, mostly. Yeah. And now... this season was a lot of screen time for, like, Dustin.
Yeah. I really like that, too, because it's a good character. And that kid's awesome.
Dude, huge charisma. So much fucking charisma off that kid, dude.
Also, Steve lived up to the name. He's a badass who's good with kids.
Just like Hollywood Steve.
Yeah, I'm obviously, listen, the times that I've faced creatures from the upside down, I've taken them down, all right? I mean,
I've noticed that.
I'm the goddamn champ.
That's no secret. Yeah, I did enjoy it though, man. And you know, it's always hard to compare. You know, whenever something does a season 1 or a movie number 1 that is as enchanting and charismatic and groundbreaking as the original Stranger Things was, it's always hard to compare it to its sequels. But I do think that this was a good continuation, and I think that we'll see that a lot of the stuff in season 2 was kind of set up for 3. You know, kind of like the Two Towers and Lord of the Rings and shit, right?
Yeah. The Two Towers is the best of the 3 movies, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, I actually, I guess I find myself, I would say you're absolutely right about second seasons and what you're saying, and I think I love them the most. Like,
interesting.
I like the Two Towers. I like the 5th Harry Potter book. Like, I like these things where I know a lot of people get real, I don't know, bored by them.
Sure.
But I find them so fascinating. Like, why? Like, how do you bridge the beginning and the end? And how do you make that work? And the Two Towers is one that's just like, the battle for Helm's Deep is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
What's going on with Pip and Merrin, like going through the forest with you know, the Ints and stuff, like all of that, it seems so I would say slow maybe, but like I'm not a person who savors things, but I feel like maybe I do when it comes to seconds, like Empire Strikes Back or things like that, where what you're seeing is everything sort of falling apart and then kind of coming back together. Like nothing is resolved at the end of Two Towers. Like, just because they win at Helm's Deep doesn't mean that it's over.
No,
in fact, it's just the beginning of the battle. I feel like I must have something where I like a lack of resolution. Oh, speaking of which, there's a good movie called Resolution, horror movie, that I recommend, and that's maybe what it's about. It's hard to understand what it's about entirely. Basically, the basic story of Resolution is that there's a guy who is helping his friend get off of meth.
Okay.
But the movie itself, what it is that's happening is never fully evident. And at the end, you're left with this, like, you're left almost with a lack of resolution, which makes the title ironic. But it's like, I don't know why I love that. I love that feeling of just like, it's so open-ended. Maybe that's it. Like at the end of Two Towers, it's so open-ended. We don't know what the fuck is going to happen next.
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you know the story, read the books, etc., you know what's going to happen, and you have to assume it's going to end up well. But I think I like that feeling of being on the precipice, being on like the edge.
So, in other words, like your favorite haircut of all time is like the bowl cut.
Yeah, smoking bowls guy.
We're like, it's not short, it's not really long enough to pull back, it's just bowl cut.
Where it's just like, where are you going with this? Have you not had a haircut in a while, or are you letting it grow out? Like, what is this?
That's awesome. Well, the main subject of our show today, you guys, you goons, is going to be James Woods' incredible performance in John Carpenter. It's actually called James Woods' John Carpenter's Vampires was the original
James
title.
Woods' John Carpenter's Vampires. Yeah, that's a good title.
And of course, this is a continuation of our No Vampire theme, where for the entire month of November, we are choosing vampire movies based on your all suggestions, our lovely, dead and lovely listeners. So you guys voted to hear a podcast about vampires, so here we are delivering.
Yeah, and there was an outspoken minority of people who wanted us to do 30 Days of Night, and I feel like we probably will do that. Maybe because it's a winter movie as far as I remember.
I've never seen it.
Maybe we'll do it in January or something. But like, I haven't seen it either. I imagine that it's good from the number of people who wanted us to do it, but like it also wasn't enough for us to do it. Like more people wanted us to do the other movies, but I'm interested in it. I'd like to know what's going on with 30 Days of Night.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. So we're going to be covering John Carpenter's Vampires today. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and mention here, you know, one of the movies that was up for the polling was What We Do in the Shadows.
The best vampire movie ever made, probably.
I really find it to be one of the absolute best. If you guys have not seen What We Do in the Shadows, I suggest go ahead and just buying it right away. It's kind of a pseudo mockumentary.
Yeah.
About vampires. It stars Ola, fucking Flight of the Conchords. What's his name?
Jermaine Clement.
Thank you, Jermaine. Yeah, he's in there along with a bunch of other actors and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Taika Waititi plays vampire, and he's the director.
Oh,
yeah, that movie is so good, and honestly, I really it covers the best vampire types.
It does.
There are a few vampire types. So I want to know, Ben, what vampire from What We Do in the Shadows am I?
Well, maybe we go ahead and educate our listeners who did not vote for What We Do in the Shadows.
Wow. Listen, guys. I'm disappointed, I think. I'm not mad.
No.
I'm not mad, but I think you've made a poor choice.
Yeah.
And we're reprimanding you for listening to our podcast and liking us.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. You guys could do better next time. Definitely go watch What We Do in the Shadows. Now, in order to determine this and further educate you guys about how great this flick is, we're going to be taking a BuzzFeed quiz here entitled, Which Vampire from What We Do in the Shadows Are You? It's from BuzzFeed staff Hattie Soykan.
That Hattie Soykan, this witch who can tell just from a few questions, she can tell us which vampire we are from What We Do in the Shadows.
God have mercy. What sort of a fucking witch is this?
So, Ben, approximately how old are you?
What's my options?
8,000. And the bags under my eyes can attest to that. Almost 900, but I look 16.
Hey.
379. This is a very interesting. Okay. Super young, like 183, and still in my rebellious phase. 28, but I'm gonna live forever. Or in my 30s.
So, I'm actually 33 at this moment, but...
Jesus.
In order to answer this, I'm just going to go ahead and say 28, but I'm going to live forever because I seriously don't feel like I have changed since I was about 23, actually.
Really?
Yeah, and I do feel like I'm just going to perpetually be Peter Pan, so... Yeah, I'm going to say 28. What about you?
I'm just going to answer correctly. I am in my 30s.
Well, Steve, go ahead and choose a bed for me. We got a couple of different options here. We got a plain, like, kind of pine box modern coffin.
Uh-huh.
We've got a oxblood red coffin with a white cross on it.
Yeah.
We've got a black coffin with a cross on it.
Awesome.
Very vampire-y. We've got a more...
super metal.
Let's say oaken coffin with sort of a Viking-looking cross on it, or a Celtic cross. We've got a big old... It just looks like a big wood box.
Looks like a trunk, almost.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And then we just got a regular-ass bed.
Okay. What do you choose, Ben?
Dude, I'm going fucking bed. I'm claustrophobic. I don't want to sleep in none of that other shit.
That's right. Yeah, you've said that before. And as I've said before, I actually really like enclosed spaces. So I'm going to go with that metal-ass coffin.
You could probably do well on tour, man. Like, tour buses and stuff, like...
Yeah.
The bedding areas there are, like, sliding into one of those, like, Japanese economy hotels.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a short story by Edgar Allan Poe that's basically a guy wakes up in a bed like that but thinks he's been buried alive.
Jesus Christ. Dude, like, seriously, on tour, I have had that nightmare, and it's awful. Like, it's such a mixed bag, dude, because whenever you're sleeping on a tour bus like that and you're just sliding into like a little, a little nook, basically.
Yeah.
It's like the constant white noise of the bus and then the rocking movement of being in a moving bus while you're sleeping. It's fantastic. It is the best.
Yeah. But it sounds great.
But then, dude, sometimes you wake up and you're like, holy fuck, I have like 6 inches above my face. And it's very, very claustrophobic and terrible. It's a real mixed bag.
Yeah. So, Ben, what's your favorite thing about Stu? You remember Stu, the character that they keep around? Their friend who is not a vampire?
Oh, yes.
Okay. So what's your favorite thing about Stu? He's a virgin. Mm-hmm. He's a murderer. He gets technology. He has warm human hands. Mm-hmm. He's a vegetarian. He has big red cheeks.
I'm going to go with he gets technology because even though I live very much of my life on the internet world, whoring myself out to everybody, I have such gigantic problems with computers and stuff that anybody that I know that understands technology, I appreciate tremendously. What about you?
Well, my actual favorite thing about Stu is the line where he says, "Making my cock disappear? Not cool." But I'm going to say that he's a vegetarian. That's my favorite thing about Stu.
More for you.
Yeah. So what do we got next, Ben?
Next, we got choose an enemy for me here, Steve. We've got the Beast, which is a nondescript, horrifying medieval-looking creature.
Yeah.
We've got nuns, who they chose to show a picture of eyebrowless Whoopi Goldberg from Sister Act. What happened to her eyebrows?
I don't know. I thought, like, because I've seen a million Whoopi Goldberg movies, and there aren't even that many Whoopi Goldberg movies. But the role that I know her most from is her role as Guinan on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh.
And I thought that the eyebrow thing was just for that role. But
no,
because I never noticed she doesn't have eyebrows. But like I noticed it in that show. But then later I think I saw Sister Act and I was like, what the fuck? She always never has eyebrows?
So we got that. We got Twilight. We've got a Edward and a Bella here.
Twilight is the enemy. Okay. That's awesome.
Vampire hunters. Perhaps it's werewolves, which the picture of werewolves they show here is just like a couple of bros.
Well, it's the werewolves from the movie.
Oh, tight. And then we got humans.
Oh, man. And one of them looks like Carol from The Walking Dead. I would say my enemy would be the Beast.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think of all these, my enemy would probably be a Twilight, just for fucking making the name of vampires way fucking lame.
It did. It totally did.
Why didn't people vote for Twilight? Like, I totally would have voted for Twilight.
God, I would love to do that movie. Well, you know, it's because people actually, I think they like our insights into movies. I don't know why. Yeah, it's weird. They didn't just want to hear us bash a movie for 2 hours.
Kate says, my wife says that those are her favorite episodes of the movies that we fucking hate.
Well, they're my favorite episodes too. They're the most fun to do for sure.
Yeah.
But I think our best episode, I think I said this before, our best episode is probably the Exorcist episode.
Probably. Yeah, kind of blew that open.
Yeah. Or It. That was a real good episode too.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm a big fan of our podcast.
Me too. Huge fan.
So, Ben, what's your best trait as a flatmate?
All right.
I always recycle.
I don't.
I do the dishes once every 5 years or so.
I do them very frequently.
I bring over human guests.
Okay.
I'm just a fun, sociable guy.
Yeah.
I offer fashion advice because we don't have reflections.
Hey, we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
That's a big mystery.
I mostly just keep to myself.
I'm going to go ahead and, I am a dishwashing kind of guy. That is one of my most desirable traits as a mate is that.
That is awesome because I hate washing dishes.
I actually don't even mind. Like, as long as I can listen to a podcast or listen to music, I'll do dishes anytime. And a lot of times, like, Especially days where I've had a lot to do, which is to say basically every day.
Yeah.
Like doing something as mindless as washing dishes while I listen to a podcast or something is actually tremendously rewarding to me. So I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with I do the dishes.
Okay. I'm going to say I'm just a fun, sociable guy.
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Now, Steve, choose yourself a hobby. And you got to think, you're going to be alive a long goddamn time if you're a vampire.
Yeah. And like, I mean, what if society breaks down and crumbles and the internet doesn't exist anymore?
I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to spend your time knitting? Are you going to spend your time hooking up?
Okay.
I've got a big question about that because, like, really, if vampires are dead and they're cold and so on, can you even get a boner?
I would imagine not. Like, how could you?
Yeah, if you don't have blood flowing.
Yeah, if there's no blood flowing, how are you ever going to get... Like, do you have to bite someone? Is that what they're doing when they bite people? They're getting that blood flow for an erection? Like, is blood for them like Viagra?
That would be actually a fucking great basis for a movie.
Yeah, it would.
Holy, trademark Dead and Lovely right now, dude. That would be amazing.
It'll be Dead and Lovely's James Woods' John Carpenter's Vampires Fuck.
Are you going to spend the time flying?
Oh, that would be awesome.
How about scrapbooking?
Oh.
Maybe partying? Are you going to be a software developer in software development, my ass?
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, it does.
I'm going to say I would definitely spend my time flying.
Yeah, you got to fly around.
Yeah, I mean, come on. Like, as I've said it before when we talked about Harry Potter, that the fact that Voldemort and Snape can fly means that I would definitely be evil. There's no fucking reason to be good if you can't just fly.
You got a point.
Yeah.
I can't argue with that at all, man. I think I would spend my time partying.
Yeah, that would be fun.
I want to go out and rage a little bit. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, can vampires even, like, get drunk, considering they don't really have a bloodstream for alcohol to enter?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, could they? What the hell? That would suck.
I know.
Actually, if your liver's not metabolizing things... You couldn't get high. You couldn't you couldn't do anything.
Apparently, couldn't bone based on what we're saying. It's like if the definition of vampire partying is going to, you know, like raves and fucking club nights and shit like this, and just being around loud fucking music and bright lights and not even being able to get fucked up, I would actually really hate that. So I'm kind of regretting my answer right now.
Well, choose a vital part of your vampire look, Ben.
Right.
Blouses, a unique jacket.
I'm a fan of a jacket.
Me too. Fangs, a good head of hair.
Oh.
A menacing expression. I actually prefer a pre-dead aesthetic.
I've got to go with a good head of hair. I've always identified myself with a person who has hair, and as a person who has a forehead, which is growing.
Yeah. Is it?
My forehead's growing. I'm going to go ahead and try to keep that hair as long as I can. So good head of hair. Pretty please. I'll even put it in those big old butt braids like Bram Stoker's Gary Oldman.
Listen, I inherited a lot of negative things in my genes, but I inherited 2 positive things. One of them is I've never had a cavity or any tooth problems ever.
Wow.
And I don't floss. Honestly, like, and this is gross, but when I was in 6th grade during the summer, I don't think I brushed my teeth the entire time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Like, I've never had a cavity. It's never happened. Also, on both sides of my family, none of the men are bald.
Oh.
My hairline's not receding in the least bit.
It really hasn't. You've got a full head of locks on you.
I got a full head of hair. It's gonna be gray as hell. My dad and my mom's dad have full head of gray hair, but it's still gonna be a full head of hair. So
sick.
I think the thing I would choose for my vital part of my vampire look would definitely be fangs.
Nice.
Yeah, fangs for the memories. Am I right?
It's a good look. It's a good look, man. Yeah, I think that, like, you know, like they say you get your hair traits from like your grandfather on your mom's side, right?
Yeah.
So he had a full head of hair whenever he died, so I should be okay. But he did have a lot of forehead.
Yeah, receding hairline can look dignified, for sure.
I think so, man. I'm pretty sure that it can. And, you know, it's like every day I see more grays, and I'm like, hey, better fucking gray hair than no hair. Now, Steve, let me ask you, when you're a vampire, what food are you going to miss the most?
Oh, Jesus.
Is it going to be chips, meaning fries, not actual potato chips?
Right.
Is it going to be salad?
No.
Yeah, of course not. What about a chocolate?
Okay.
Maybe it's burgers.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it's a big old bowl of spaghetti.
Yeah.
Maybe
Dario Argento knows about that.
Yeah.
He's
Alien
Italian.
Warlord Dario Argento. Maybe it's a guy in a sweater that says, I don't miss any food.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. Have you ever met anyone who said that they don't like eating?
Yeah, actually, Kate's mom.
Yeah, fuck that person.
Yeah, my mother-in-law.
No, not Kate's mom. I love her.
Dude, she has the weirdest fucking sensibilities in the world. Like, she does not understand food whatsoever.
Really?
God,
that
she's
sucks.
like, food is... She has literally said, food is an inconvenience. It's just fuel.
Jesus.
Like, I actually think that my wife's mom is actually like the world's greatest like super taster that's ever lived.
Yeah, my wife is a super taster, and it definitely cuts out a lot of greens and things, like a lot of foods.
Dude, it's the kind of thing where seriously, like, you can put like not even a lot, like a grind, like a single grind of pepper in something, and she's like, oh my god, it's like an inferno. Really?
Seriously. Does she have fissures on her tongue like Keith from the Try Guys?
It could be. Oh man, Keith, my homeboy. It really could be. Like, I think that she's probably one of those people that could probably taste the fucking, you know, dirt that the wine grapes were fucking grown in and shit, you know? But she just hates food as a result of it.
God, that sucks.
I know.
I once knew a girl who told me not only that she found eating to be an inconvenience, but she also didn't like sleeping. And I knew we would never be friends.
Now, see, Kate, my wife, she hates sleeping.
Really?
She does. Sleeping is the best. Because it's time that you don't have to spend.
But it's the best. It's so great. What? All right. As someone suffering from generalized anxiety, which sounds like like, you know, sometimes you're anxious. No, that means I'm anxious about everything in general. I love sleeping. Yeah. Because in my dreams, sometimes I'm very anxious, but most of the time it's just random images and events. That's it. And it's so great. And I don't have to think about shit. It's awesome. Now, which food would I miss the most? Okay, I'm gonna choosing from these, I'm gonna definitely say chocolate. I love chocolate, love dark chocolate. It's my fave.
I think, you know, it would be, God, it's really hard for me here to decide between a chip and a spaghetti. I think I'll probably say a spaghetti because...
Yeah, spaghetti's fucking awesome.
I'm a pastaholic. I'm a carbomaniac.
Yeah. Carbs are the best.
Oh, they're the best food. And over the past couple of years, I've tried to greatly reduce my pasta intake. Because as a person who literally sits on their ass and plays guitar for a living... Carbs aren't exactly the fuel.
No, they're not the best.
No,
if you're not working out or doing a lot of like heavy work, then like carbs are kind of off the table.
Well, and especially when like you spend your evenings, it's like, okay, I sit on my ass and play guitar all day, and then spend my evenings like watching horror movies and drinking. Carbs are something you don't need at all.
If I had to choose a second one, and I was thinking burgers, but the burger they have doesn't appeal to me. You know, I have this thing. I love my steak as rare as possible. Like,
Sure.
I want it bloody. I want it mooing. I want, I would like for it to just be coming out of the uterus and just straight into my mouth. That's how fucking...
Wipe its ass and bring it to the table.
Yeah, that's how I want it. But when it comes to burgers, I hate a thick burger, and I hate a burger that's not cooked through. I hate it.
Really?
Like, it tastes disgusting to me.
I'll go for a medium burger.
The burger that they have on the picture is one of those burgers. I love a press burger. Like the type of burger you get at a fast food restaurant. I love an In-N-Out burger or a Shake Shack type of burger. When I make
Five Guys.
Yeah, exactly. When I make burgers for my wife and I, it's always turkey, so you can't cook it medium rare.
No.
But also I make press burgers, and I also mustard cook them, which is an In-N-Out thing.
Ooh, no.
You don't like mustard?
No. Nope.
Do you like pickles?
No.
I didn't think so. I both mustard cook them, and as I flip them, like what you do to mustard cook them is you season one side, you press that side, then you put mustard on the other side and flip it.
Ugh.
When I flip it, I cook it for a little bit, and then I add a little pickle juice.
It's
awful. Fucking amazing.
Dude, that is like the opposite of the source of my powers. That is like kryptonite to me.
That would murder you, yeah. Okay, so last question, Ben. How are you most likely to die?
I'd like to know.
Killed by a vampire hunter after giving him my email.
Okay.
Disemboweled by werewolves.
Ooh.
Accidentally falling asleep with the curtains open. Hereditary heart disease.
Probably hereditary heart disease. Like hardly anybody on like either side of my family fucking lives beyond damn 60 or 65. So
yeah,
even though I'm 33, I'm probably actually past midlife right now.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, most of the people in my family are like fucking pillheads and alcoholics and rejects. So hopefully I'll dodge that bullet.
Yeah, I think like liver problems have killed a lot of members of my family. And I imagine that will probably be what eventually kills me.
Yeah.
But, I like my family, like they live forever. My grandmother, my great grandmother, that is, she lived to like 85,
Damn.
I believe. Yeah. And she lived alone almost all of that time. Like she lived in her own home. She was a badass. My grandfather and my grandmother are both in their 70s, and they're still fucking kicking, man. Like they're having troubles and stuff, but they're still kicking.
Nice.
How am I most likely to die? Probably accidentally falling asleep with the curtains open, because that's the type of small thing that I forget about. I forget about small things all the time.
Right, that sunlight will get you.
Yeah. So who'd you get, Ben?
So I got Vladislav.
Oh, yeah?
Yep,
awesome.
I did. You're a bit of a ladies' man, and you love a good bit of meat. Ever since you discovered Facebook, that's kind of become your new thing. You lived a crazy life in war-torn Germany, and you're glad you can kick back now and enjoy simple pleasures like the unholy masquerade and the feel of a silk robe on your chest.
Awesome.
Dead but delicious is your way of life. I kind of agree with all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's definitely you. I got Nick. You're Twilight. You're Dracula. You want to scream it from rooftops. You're living the ideal vampire life, and you've even got your best friend by your side.
Oh,
it was hard fitting in with the older vampires for a while, but now you definitely feel like one of the guys. That's not true of me at all. I am not one of the guys. Pretty soon you'll stop missing good food, and maybe they'll even let you move into Peter's room.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's pretty good.
Way to go, BuzzFeed, on that quiz.
They actually did pretty well this time. Yeah, they really did.
Yeah.
And again, I gotta recommend to you guys, if you've not seen What We Do in the Shadows, go and watch it like post haste. It's kind of a it's kind of a mockumentary sort of thing, kind of a Christopher Guest style flick. Yeah. All about vampires, and it is so legitimately funny, and at the same time, if you're a fan of vampire flicks and stuff, It pays homage to everything from fucking Nosferatu to Interview with the Vampire. I mean, everything in so between. Good. It's really, really a wonderful flick. So do go check that one out. But the main topic today is James Woods' John Carpenter's Vampires. Now, Steve, was this the first time that you watched this flick?
No, I actually watched this. I watched this maybe 6 months ago. It was the first time I had seen it then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I had avoided everything past In the Mouth of Madness with John Carpenter, because, like,
it's kind of regarded as his last good one.
Yeah, In the Mouth of Madness is his last great horror film. This is his last good one. And
I do find Mouth of Madness to be truly great. Listen to our episode about that several months ago.
It's fucking awesome. I love In the Mouth of Madness. I guess I just don't want my image of John Carpenter spoiled.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen Escape from L.A. I've seen Escape from New York because it's fucking awesome. But I know Escape from L.A. is not good, so I'm not going to watch it. I haven't seen Ghosts of Mars. I haven't seen anything past vampires. I just don't. He's such a great director. And honestly, I will say, like, watching this movie, I think my brain defaults to John Carpenter, because, like, if I'm watching a John Carpenter movie and I see the way he's composed a shot, I'm like, yeah, that's the only way to compose a shot. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that's the way to fucking do it.
Yep.
And this movie is definitely a Carpenter movie. It's definitely awesome, but it's I say awesome. It's definitely good. It's a good movie, but it's not him at his prime. It's not him at his height. The music is definitely him at his height. The music's fucking awesome.
Music's good,
the direction is, I don't know, it's missing something, and we'll get into it, but, like, it's definitely missing something.
I wonder how much of that is kind of like what we were talking about Fright Night last week, where I'm like, I really wonder if the casting of this was 100% exactly who they wanted for these parts. Because earlier today you texted me and you're like, man, it should have been Lance Henriksen and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, that would have been fucking amazing.
Dude, that's all that's been in my head since you mentioned that. And I'm like, man, maybe that is what this movie was missing. Because as I was watching it, initially I was really on board, and then as it went on, I was like, I just don't know. It's like it's missing something. I can't really say exactly what, but maybe it is that it was just missing the right actors to play those parts. Because it's not like there's anything, shitty about the cast, but it's like when you see what good casting can do to a movie, like whenever you watch Near Dark, for example, and see
Lance Henriksen being fucking awesome,
dude, and that movie would not be half of what it is without him and some of those other people in that flick. It makes you really, really wonder what this movie would be like with a slightly different cast. There are some powerhouses though. Here, of course, we got James Woods,
James Woods is great. I mean, he's a fucking ass. I don't ever want to be his friend.
Probably not a good hang.
No, probably not. But he's a good actor, and he's specifically good at being bad.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So, like, I texted you that, and then I watched the movie again, and I do still think Lance Henriksen and Alec Baldwin would have been the best at this.
Yeah.
But I think John Carpenter and his wife, I can never remember her name. I'm really bad about that, but she was the producer on this, and she has a lot to do with casting.
Yeah.
I think that what they did was they went out and got bad people to play bad people.
Yeah, I don't think they're supposed to be likable at all.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be likable, and that might be the problem if you have Lance Henriksen and Alec Baldwin.
You're going to kind of like them.
You're gonna kind of like them, yeah. And James Woods is not likable. I said in the It episode that I don't ever want to think about Stephen King and sex in the same context. James Woods is worse. I don't ever want to think about James Woods having sex. That's gross, like fucking disgusting. But Daniel Baldwin carries this movie, and I don't know the man, but I know he's had a lot of run-ins with the law for drugs and alcohol. He's had some problems with sexually harassing his Mary Carey while he was on Dr. Drew's Celebrity Rehab or whatever.
Damn.
Like he's not. He's a complicated asshole, just like James Woods. James Woods used to be a Democrat, but then he turned whenever Bill Clinton perjured himself and all the Democrats were behind him, which means he was never actually liberal. He was just behind a party for some reason. And now he's like super conservative and a big Donald Trump fan. And
Jesus,
yeah, and obviously he was some predatory behavior toward Amber Tamblyn, who is awesome and was 16 at the time and doesn't fucking she doesn't lie. She's not making that shit up. He did it. And they're bad guys, but that's the thing, is that they're playing bad guys. And now I'm having this debate in my head about what do you do if you cut all the bad people out of Hollywood?
Yeah, really, right. Do you lose some actual genuine dislikability on screen if everybody's fucking
now,
Tom Hanks?
What we got? Yeah, because now Tom Hanks is supposed to play the bad guy? No. Tom Hanks is not the bad guy.
Right, I want a piece of
Danny
shit.
DeVito, like Tom Hanks, Danny DeVito, they've been the two people who've been falling back on. Like, these are the two we know they're not bad. Even though Danny DeVito can play a shit heel on screen, he's always likable. He's still always likable. It's hard to dislike him. But you look at James Woods and that just fucking ridiculous, stupid, cocky look he's got, and you just want to fucking punch him in the face. But also, he's perfect for these roles.
I know, right? Yeah, because I don't think he's supposed to be a likable hero who you get on his side.
No, nobody in this movie is supposed to be likable. Like, there's some genius casting behind this for sure.
Right, yeah, exactly. I tend to agree. Now, whenever you see James Woods, like, what do you think of whenever you see James Woods? Like, what is the performance or movie or show that you think of when you think James Woods? To a lot of people, it's like fucking Hades from Hercules.
He's just an asshole from Twitter. Like, I think about all of his roles and I'm like, yeah, I like him, but I don't like him. So like the thing that, like, in my mind, the thing I think of immediately is him being an asshole on Twitter and being general fucking homophobe and conservative dickhead. Like,
wow. Have you ever seen Videodrome?
Yeah, Videodrome's great, and he's great in it.
Fucked up movie, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, he's great, and that's the thing about him that really, I don't know. Maybe I separate it in my head.
Yeah.
Like, I think of James Woods the person, and I don't like him. I think of James Wood the actor, and I fucking love him.
Right. Yeah.
It's
a real struggle.
It is. It's almost like Nicolas Cage, but like, I don't think I hate Nicolas Cage as a person either. I think Nicolas Cage just fascinates me as a person and an actor. Like, he's just
kind
like
of an enigma, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck is going on with Nicolas Cage? But with James Woods, I got two separate images of him in my head. What's your favorite role he's in?
Probably Videodrome, I think, is probably the one that I think of him the most in, because that movie is just fucked beyond reason, dude. One of the other cool bits of casting in this movie that I saw, too, and although, you know, initially whenever the movie starts, we got James Woods and his band of red shirts, his vampire killing squad, that all basically get immediately killed.
That's so awesome, by the way. Like,
I know, right?
Yeah, like, that opening is so good, because, like, they have, like, we're not talking about improvised weapons put together to fight off vampires. We're talking about a squad of people who are trained in fighting vampires. They have specific weapons. They have silver pikes. They have, you know, that awesome crossbow. Everything has a flashlight on it.
Yep.
Because you're obviously going to be in the dark. Yeah, like, it's great.
So you know the Asian guy who's in the squad?
Uh-huh.
You know who that is?
No, I don't. I didn't. He looked familiar. Who is that?
That's motherfucking Shao Kahn from the Mortal Kombat movie.
Mortal Kombat!
Oh, wait, is he Shang Tsung? He's one or the other. I can't remember. I just remember he's one of the boss guys.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is pretty tight. And I like, though, that the movie does start, and yeah, it does show that they're this vampire killing squad. And, you know, we've talked several times on our show about show me versus tell me.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I feel like this movie, you know, as far as the narrative and explaining the world and explaining the rules of this movie,
yeah,
there's several parts where the narrative does that extremely effectively by showing us and not telling us, like the intro of the movie, where it's just like, hey, boys, here we are. We're at this site. We're going to, you know, flush out these vampires out of this house and so on. There's a master. There's some goons, as they call them. Where they just show us stuff and don't tell us, and you can just make sense of it based on what you're seeing. And then there's also several parts of narrative that are very on the nose as far as, like, you know, James Woods and dudes, like, you know, riding in the car, and they're just talking about, vampires are susceptible to blah, blah, blah. You were raised by the church to be a vampire killer. Like, some of it's really on the nose, and some of it is that effective... just drop us into the world and show us what's going on. We'll get it.
Well, it is credited as written by Don Jacoby, who wrote Arachnophobia.
Okay.
But this is, I mean, just like every John Carpenter movie, no matter who wrote it, he takes the script and rewrites it.
Right.
And he used, there were two scripts. This is based on Vampire $, much like Ty $.
Vampires with a $sign, really?
Which is a novel by John Stakely. Two people had adapted it into a screenplay. He took both of those screenplays and the novel and basically distilled it into his own thing. It was enough like Don Jacoby's script to get him the writing credit, and John Carpenter is not a person who fights for the writing credit. He's fine with letting someone else get money. That's cool. Probably because of his stake in Halloween that made him so much fucking money. Anyway, so this movie, I feel like those moments when it's show don't tell, that's definitely John Carpenter.
Totally.
And when it's tell, that's the original script.
But
they do need those because there is this deep lore to it that the Catholic Church is the Catholic Church accidentally made a vampire.
I like that. That's a really cool thing to me, because traditionally, you know, in all vampire lore, the enemy of vampires is crosses and so forth. So it's an interesting twist to think that, you know, maybe the reason that all that shit works is because actually all of this was created by the church. I like that.
Yeah, it's a real interesting background, and I mean, there were two straight-to-video sequels to this. I've never seen them, but just like From Dusk Till Dawn, this is very much like From Dusk Till Dawn. By the way, this is a Western vampire movie. Yes. There are a few of those, and I actually wrote them down because we have now talked about 3 of them. Though the Near Dark episode was lost for all time and eternity, and hopefully we'll do it again at some point.
Totally, because Near Dark is like the best.
It's the best vampire movie.
Yeah, I really like Near Dark a lot.
Yeah, I would definitely say, for me, I would say Near Dark is my favorite vampire movie. Second is either What We Do in the Shadows or Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Right.
But there were a couple of Western vampire movies in the 50s and 60s, Curse of the Undead and Billy the Kid versus Dracula.
Oh.
But in 87, we got Near Dark. In 96, we got From Dusk Till Dawn. In 98, we got Vampires. Now, Vampires is definitely influenced by From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh,
definitely.
Obviously, yeah.
And they both have this rich background that they don't go into completely.
Yeah, which I like very much. And I understand that that's kind of a complaint among some people that watch this flick, is that everything isn't really spelled out that well for them.
Yeah.
But I am a huge fan of that personally.
I think for a person with a creative mind, what it does is it lets you imagine. It lets you imagine what else is going on in the world.
Yeah, because they even just use certain terms, like how there's masters. And it's like, what does that mean? And you sit there and wonder and think about it, and
that means they got a postgraduate degree in being a vampire.
Have a hard time getting gainful employment these days, because everybody's got a master's.
Everybody! Now we all need to be doctors. Dr. Vampire.
Man,
hematologist.
Dude, I'm telling you what, man. I was hanging out with the in-laws the other day. They were complaining about how they can't find anybody to rake their lawn.
Really?
Yeah.
Because everybody's got a degree and it's below it.
Exactly. And it's like, dude, it's because you raised all of us to believe that we are too good to rake anybody's lawn.
Well, you know what? We are at this point. There's too much invested in us for us to rake lawns. Like, if I start raking lawns, the government wants their money back. They want their loan money back.
Yep.
And you know, all of that lawn raking money is going to go back to those fucking loans.
Yep.
So that lawn raking money is not enough for the loan to ever get paid off.
Nope.
So raking a lawn is a loss.
I know.
You go and you rake a lawn and you don't get anything for it, basically, in the end.
And then at the same time, it's like, you know, the baby boomer generation is like, there's just no people with just gainful skills these days. And it's like, that's because you told me I was too good to get under a car or to rake a lawn or fucking whatever, dude.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It kills me, dude.
It really does. I mean, listen, like, I don't get millennial hate. I don't get it at all. It's ridiculous to me. Like, it's always a thing. You blame the next generation.
Oh, of course.
Like, every goddamn time. It's always going to be that way.
Been that way, sure.
It's stupid. It's ridiculous. You blame the next generation. But you can't blame a generation for what you set up. Like, how do you set up this entire goddamn system where everybody has to go to college to get a job?
Yeah.
But then everybody has a college degree, so we're all competing for the same jobs that require college degrees.
I'm telling you, man, it's like I talked about it several episodes ago. It's like, if I would have actually just stayed in my room playing video games, I would be so much better off now than having gone to college and stuff.
If I had done exactly what I would have wanted to do, which is move to Hollywood the moment I graduated high school, I would have been better off. You don't need a college degree to write scripts.
No, you don't. You don't.
I mean, I'm not going to complain too much. I learned so much in college that has really made me understand other people and understand society and culture. And
but you probably could have done that without going into fucking colossal debt at the same time.
That's true. That's true. If somebody had just given me a reading list, I would have read that stuff and still been okay.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's ridiculous to me. But anyway, back to John Carpenter's vampires.
Now, one of the things that I really like about this flick is the way that the vampires themselves are portrayed. They are not at all...
They're badass.
Dude, they're not at all like romantic, fucking suave, sexy vampires. They are rabid, raging, killing machines.
Yeah, and we have Valak, who is our primary vampire, who was created by the Catholic Church on accident by... essentially, he went against the church and worked for the people, and they performed an exorcism on him because they claimed he had demons in him, and it worked opposite ways, where it basically killed his soul and left his body alive, and then he couldn't die.
Very metal.
So by biting, metal as fuck. And by biting others, he creates more vampires, and then those vampires go to school and get their masters.
And you know, that guy would absolutely be the very idol of one George Costanza, because he has completely thrown off the traditions of society and draped himself in velvet.
He has. He is draped in velvet, and he don't give a fuck. This dude will straight up. perform cunnilingus on Laura Palmer. He don't give a shit.
It seems like he did that. It seems like he did do that, man. And, you know, a couple episodes ago, we did that vampire quiz about getting bitten on the thigh, and he did just that.
He did just that. He bit her on the thigh. And, I mean, this movie, this is an interesting thing. I feel like this movie has a bad relationship with women.
Yeah.
But I also feel like there's some value in that type of movie. Because it reflects the actual world. It reflects the world where a lot of men have a bad relationship with women. A lot of men are very detached from femininity. They don't get it. They don't know how to talk to women. They see women as not human, basically.
Right.
And that's what we get from Cheryl Lee, aka Laura Palmer. She's like an object a lot of the times in this movie. Like she's used as an object.
The whole movie like tied up and just like squirming around, basically.
But the thing is that what we get from her, she's a sex worker. First off, like she's a prostitute. She's bitten by a vampire. She's given this disease, a virus, as Daniel Baldwin Montoya calls it. She's given this disease by the vampire. She starts to see through his eyes, and the vampire hunters are, first off, treating her like shit and using her just to get to the vampire, and they have no concern for her well-being. She gets slapped so many times in this movie.
Yeah, she does get beat around, and like, what's the whole thing with like fucking Baldwin whenever he has her in the hotel room after she's been bitten? Like, he strips her down naked and ties her to the bed. It's like,
why did he strip her naked?
Yeah,
that made no sense. And
then as a result of that, like, that's one of those things that confuses me about the movie in general, is like by the end of the movie, him and her have like fallen in love. Why? Yeah. Like, fucking why? All he's done is literally like strip her naked and tie her up and do whatever. Like, there is really nothing going on that would indicate that they should be falling in love at all. I don't really understand that.
Yeah, well, I paid specific attention to her in my second viewing today. She doesn't fall in love. Okay. She is not more interested in him at any point. He kisses her near the end and she recoils. She is not interested in it. He falls in love with her. I think this movie, despite the fact that it obviously doesn't like women, it portrays a great female character who is shown in a true light. She is being treated like shit by men.
Yeah.
And she is never won over by Daniel Baldwin, a.k.a., in my eyes, Fred Flintstone. That dude looks just like Fred Flintstone.
Absolutely.
Yabba dabba do. And it's very, by the way, very ironic because Stephen Baldwin played Barney in the sequel to the Flintstones movie.
Amazing.
They should have gotten Daniel Baldwin to play Fred Flintstone.
That would have been the best.
Anyway, but like, I think this movie, like, it portrays people in a dingy, scuzzy way.
Yeah.
But because it does that, it's showing us truth. It's showing us, like, what people are like. Like, there are misogynistic pieces of shit assholes out there.
Yeah.
And there are these women who are in the sex industry and caught up in this, and they have to deal with these men all the time. But she never, like, Cheryl Lee never seems to me to give into it. She's always fighting it, and that's awesome.
That makes sense, man. And it has to be a deliberate choice because we know from many of his other flicks that John Carpenter is definitely not like a fucking woman.
No, he's not a misogynist.
No, I mean, it's like you watch Halloween and stuff, and you see, you know, a very powerful female in a lot of those other flicks of his too and stuff. So you know,
Styles and In the Mouth of Madness, she's awesome. Like,
although you know, one thing that did just hit me earlier today, I was listening to Another movie podcast that I really enjoy is Cinema Swirl. Have you ever listened to that?
No.
It's really wonderful. It's these two British dudes.
Awesome.
I really enjoy their show. They do a little bit of everything. But on one of their more recent episodes, they did The Thing by John Carpenter.
Great. Uh-huh.
And they did happen to mention...
There are no women in that.
Okay, the only woman in that...
Oh, there is a woman. Okay.
Well, okay, it's the voice of the chess-playing computer. And, like, within the first 5 minutes of the movie, what's his name?
Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell. He's playing chess against that computer that has the woman voice. He calls her a bitch and pours whiskey on it and fries it. So
yeah, that is shitty.
Maybe John Carpenter does have different opinions about women than I thought.
Maybe.
I don't think so. I really don't think so, honestly.
I don't think so either. I think he's portraying misogynist behavior.
I think so too.
I don't think that.
Don't think he's glorifying it.
Yeah, he's not glorifying it, for sure. Like, nobody... That's the thing about The Thing, is that nobody in it is above suspicion. That's the whole idea behind it. And so, the fact that it's all men, and there are no women, gives the idea that, like, men, left alone to their own devices, will just claw at each other until they die. Like, they will just... find a way to kill each other.
Yep. And
it's not a positive, for sure.
I really do enjoy how absolutely brutal this movie is. That's one of the first things about this flick that really kind of took me by surprise, is how unflinchingly brutal it is. Like, even in that very first scene where we got James Wood and his crew of red shirts, you know, flushing out that house full of vampires and stuff, and he stabs that one male vampire through the head with a stake and just... Yeah. I mean, it just shows it. Just this unflinching fucking head stab.
Mm-hmm. And we get the idea... Like, the priest is almost like our way in, the audience's way into seeing this, because the priest is disgusted by all this. But he's been doing it for a long time. So he's still disgusted by it. No matter how many times he's seen it, it still disgusts him.
And I like, too, that the way that they're eliminating the vampires, it is not the, you know, traditional fucking, whatever, garlicum, straight through the harcum.
No crosses. That's James Wood says that. He says crosses don't hurt them, garlic doesn't. They don't sleep in coffins or whatever. Like, the only thing that seems to hurt them is stake to the heart and then the sun.
And they do that by, they have this crossbow that's attached to a line that's attached to like a winch on the front of this car.
And they pull them out.
I really like that too. Whenever they pull them out into the light, it looks almost like they have like road flares attached to their costumes, and they just burst into
that is exactly what it looks like,
And did you notice too how it seems like the more higher up in the vampire hierarchy you are, the more explosive and gruesome the death is? Like, the low level ones, they just burst into flames and turn into like charred corpses, but as you get up into the hierarchy, like, they explode and fucking gush gore and all this other shit.
Yeah, I did notice that. And I think I mentioned this before, that my theory about how people who have been considered victims of spontaneous human combustion were probably vampires.
Yep.
And this movie, that's exactly what it looks like. It's just like they combust the second that they touch the sun. They just start smoking and then fucking burn.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome. I really like the violence in this movie. I do too,
because it's not just like the human on vampire violence, it's also the vampire on human violence. Like, I think really the best scene in the whole flick is the scene where we have like the motel massacre, where basically James and his group of vampire hunters are celebrating their success at this motel with like hookers and booze and all this stuff, and our main vampire, what's his name, Volek, he shows up and just really fucking crashes that party very, very hard.
He starts out by shoving his hand into a man's stomach and then splitting him in twain. It's so awesome. Like, the way he goes about killing people makes me think vampires are awesome, which is a thing that I've never really thought. I've always thought vampires are kind of lame. Like, even in the best vampire movies, like, they mostly rely on charm and shit.
Right.
But in this, they're just badass.
Dude, he stomps into there, and like you said, he rips that one dude straight up in half, which is bad as shit. But then he's like fucking breaking necks. He makes the priest, he fucking holds the shotgun up to his head and blows his head off, and you just see fucking brains splatter all over the ceiling.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
And dude, our main vampire guy here seems to be just relishing the whole thing. He's not even working. He almost seems to be kind of smirking the whole time.
Yeah.
It's badass, man. The kills,
it really is,
in this flick are fucking awesome. I really do enjoy the gore, which is, of course, well, I'm not going to say all practical, but I think it's mostly all practical effects.
It is almost all practical, and I don't know if you noticed, but the people who did the effects for this were the same people who did the effects for From Dusk Till Dawn.
No
shit. K&B.
Shit.
Yeah. Robert Kurtzman, what's his name, etc., blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
Howard Berger, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, like, yeah, it looks really great, and there are some real dedicated performances in here. Like, I don't think James Woods is the best performance by far. I think Daniel Baldwin he carries the movie.
Right.
He's on screen the most. He has the most lines, and the dude is doing it. Like, he's going for it. He's really, like, buying into this shit character who's just he's an ass. Like, he's an asshole. They're all assholes. But, like, James Woods, he has his humor, which isn't great humor. Like, you know how some people think they're funny, but then, like, you hear them trying to be funny, and it's like, you're not funny at all. Like, James Woods, how about a little head, Padre? Or no, that's Daniel Baldwin. But James Woods has all these, like, jokes throughout, and I imagine, because John Carpenter said that to work with James Woods, because a lot of people have trouble working with him, to work with James Woods, he made a deal with him. He said, you give me the first take, you give me what's in the script, and then after that you can improvise.
Really?
Yeah, so I imagine a lot of those jokes were improvised.
Wow.
And they're not funny. Like, they're just like, it's just like a dude who hangs out at a bar a lot thinks he's funny. Like, that's the type of funny he is. But Daniel Baldwin throughout, almost all of his lines are serious. Like, they're like, despite the fact that he has a sense of humor about him, his shit, the stuff he's supposed to deliver, is supposed to be serious. And so, despite he's slapping women left and right.
He does.
But he does. There are so many scenes where he hits women, but he's all in for it. He's really doing it. And I also think Cheryl Lee, who took a lot of those slaps from James Woods and Daniel Baldwin, she's all in. She's taking, like, if you pay attention to those slaps, they're not fake. It's not pro wrestling type of shit. Like, she's getting slapped. There's also the scene where after Cheryl Lee bites Daniel Baldwin, he holds a lighter up to the bite. It's a lighter up to his arm. Like,
I know.
It's
like,
right there.
How
he's
did
doing
they fucking fake that or whatever?
I don't know that they did. I think he fucking went for it.
Yeah, because it really looks like a lighter.
Yeah, he had the makeup maybe insulated a little bit, but it's right up against his arm. I think that, like, fuck reaction that he has is genuine. Like, he's just like, that fucking hurt.
That's something I thought was interesting in this flick too. You were talking about in Fright Night how there's not really a lot of male on male vampire bites, but there's also not a lot of woman biting a man vampire bites either.
That is interesting because he gets bitten by her twice.
Yeah.
And
it is kind of this submissive sexual sort of thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, he is being penetrated by her.
Right.
And
he kind of resists and then sort of gives into it too.
Yeah, that scene is really good. That's a well done scene.
Yeah.
A lot of these things also, like the scene where, like, after he gets bitten, you pay attention. It's one long continuous shot where he, like, smacks her, lays her on the bed, and then walks into the bathroom and then, you know, starts the lighter, puts it under the bite, etc. It's a pretty long continuous shot. Like, it's good direction. Like, John Carpenter's fucking amazing, but it's also awesome acting.
Well, you know what, though? Maybe, you know, a second ago I was asking, I was like, man, why did Daniel Baldwin and her, like, fall in love in the movie and shit? But actually, maybe this is sort of, again, kind of another Carpenter-ism where he sort of gender reversed these roles and shown how ridiculous it is that just because this guy got, you know, bitten, or you could say, you know, invaded by this member of the opposite sex, that he would instantly be like, oh, but we're in love. Like, because that's the typical shit you see in other vampire movies is like, chick falling in love with this vampire that bit her and stuff. And you don't think anything about it when it's a woman falling for a man, but when it's a man falling for a woman, you question it. And you're like, why the fuck did they fall in love? Maybe it's supposed to be that way to make you question and see how silly that whole notion is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's awesome. Like, I think in the end, like, I don't know, it's real hard because this movie, like, there are no other strong female characters. There's only the one.
No.
And that's always a problem when you just have one strong female character. And if you're out there listening and you're like, why is that a problem? It's because you have 4 strong male characters.
Yeah.
You can't have 4 strong male characters and only 1 strong female for it to work well. But because this movie, it accepts its misogyny. It accepts that this world, the world of, and that's what this is. This is a world where killing vampires is a business.
Mm-hmm.
In this world where killing vampires is a business, and these men spend all this time killing vampires, and they're out alone, and they have to hire prostitutes to hang out with them. They don't have to, but they do.
Yeah.
In this world, you're not gonna run into that many strong female characters because they aren't around women.
Right.
We need more movies, obviously, that are written with more female characters and more of an equality, etc. But when you do this, when you do reflect actual reality and you try to reflect the misogyny of the world, it would be hard if you had a bunch of strong female characters. It would be hard to reflect that type of boys being boys, you know, quote unquote. Like, it would be hard to reflect that if you also had every other scene a woman who is just being a badass all the time.
Yeah. No, it's totally true, man. It's totally true. And I do wonder if this was made to intentionally kind of throw those conventions
maybe
in your face and see what you felt like when they were reversed. Now, what do you think about the length of this flick? Because it's
too long.
Yeah, because it's like an hour and 41, something like that.
It feels like 3 hours, though.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It really, really does, man, because I kind of feel like with this flick, like, you know, the world building element starts at the beginning of the flick. And then it doesn't really grow much after that. Yeah.
And the pacing is off because if you watch every scene is done well.
Yeah, they are.
But it still feels so long because every scene is they really take their time with each and every scene. And some of this may have been well, it definitely would be easy to condense it down into smaller, easier to digest scenes.
Yeah,
for sure. I think that Daniel Baldwin carrying the movie is fine, but what we get when we have James Woods on screen is there's so much exposition. There's so much being told to us.
Exactly.
That it's real hard to care about it at a certain point. It's real hard to be like, yeah, I want to know all this. I need to know all of this stuff.
And you know, a movie to me that is kind of similar in a lot of ways, in that it is a Western and in that it is a kind of non-conventional, you know, man falling for a female vampire kind of flick is Near Dark, which of course came out around in the same time period as this, and to me is just exceptional. I think it's better in so many ways, and did such a better job of, again, show us not tell us kind of storytelling. Where
Near Dark is fucking awesome, and Catherine Bigelow did an amazing job with it.
Yeah, exactly, man, exactly. There is some, I feel like in Vampires here, there is some very clumsy exposition where it is just telling us stuff about the lore and about the characters and stuff, rather than just letting us figure it out. Like, there's a certain level of faith that I think a writer has to have in his audience to be able to figure shit out.
Yeah.
And maybe some writers are just like, you know what, I should just go ahead and break this down for these people because they won't get it if I don't explain it.
I think a lot of the time that is the studio. A lot of the time it is some executive who doesn't get it, who says, you need to explain this more so people will get it, because I'm dumb and I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas actually, you know, you can go into a flick and fill in the blanks yourself in a lot of ways. And there are things about this, though, that do, as we said, kind of fulfill those things where, you know, like even the relationship between the subservient, you know, goon vampire, as they call him, and the master. It's like, it's never really explained at all how you become a master or how you become a goon. But it's a simple enough relationship that it's fun for you as a viewer to kind of draw your own conclusions about how maybe those things, that hierarchy works. But then there's other stuff that is, like I said, very clumsily explained by just literal talking between two characters explaining to us what's going on.
Yeah, it's got those issues, and I think that, like, I mean, because there's such an interesting world here, it would have benefited from less explanation.
I think so too.
It would have been one of those things where with less exposition, you would be more interested in seeing maybe a second movie in this world.
Yeah, exactly. And even the way that the movie kind of wraps up with Baldwin and the chick kind of like running away to sort of start their lives, and then James Woods being like, I'm going to come after you.
Yeah, I'm giving you 2 days, and then I'm coming after you, and I'm going to kill you and her. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great ending. Yeah.
And I'd be very on board with seeing where that went, you know?
Yeah. They mentioned 2 rules. There are apparently rules to being a vampire killer. Okay. They mentioned 2. Number 7 is you don't bury a team member alone. Right. That's okay. Interesting rule. And number 10 is you don't face a master vampire at night.
Right.
Okay. So that sets up the idea that there are these other rules, etc. I'm assuming the first rule is you don't talk about Vampire Club, and the second rule is you don't talk about Vampire Club.
Oh, clearly.
And obviously, rule 34 is if it exists, there is porn of it. But, like, what are the other rules? Like, I want to know. Like, there were enough setups for a sequel that I would want to see, but not enough of it really draws you in. I feel like, because John Carpenter's not a sequel guy.
No.
I feel like maybe the script he had and the source material he was working off of, they were set up for a sequel, but he may have put the kibosh on that. He may have tried to make that not a likely outcome. Even though it did have 2 direct-to-video sequels, like he may have, I don't know, been playing both sides in a way. Like he was using a script that obviously called for more, but then also he didn't want more.
I gotcha, man. Yeah, that makes sense to me because, like you said, he's not historically a fan of a of a sequel kind of thing. Well, you know, I think that I've probably covered all of my major points that I have to say about this flick. Like, I do think that the pacing is kind of weird. It sort of I don't really know why this movie had to be an hour and 40. Like, to me, it
didn't need to be. Yeah,
this could have been an easy hour 20. Streamlined, simple kind of flick, which Carpenter is amazing at making those kind of movies. I mean, when you really boil down, you know, like let's say Halloween or let's say Escape from New York, it's like or Assault on Precinct 13. Those are extremely simple, streamlined, very basic movies with great elements that let you fill in the blanks and stuff on your own. Yeah. And I feel like this very much could have been the same thing, where you've got this guy who was raised by the Catholic Church to be a vampire hunter, and he's after these vampires and stuff. Like, that could have been, again, streamlined is the word that comes to mind. I think this could have been a lot more simple than it was, but I wonder if there was studio pressure asking him to make it longer, to asking him to make, you know, possibility for sequels and stuff like that. So I do wonder about that. As it is, you know, I do feel like the movie has some good performances in it. You know, Baldwin as the Samwise Gamgee of the movie. That's the buddy character that really does carry the flick. He's really good. James Woods, I can't help but wonder what he would be like replaced with Lance Henriksen. I can't help but wonder what, you know, Valak would have been like replaced with a different actor. I didn't find him extremely charismatic as a villain.
He looks like Tommy Wiseau, the director of The Room.
Oh, shit. That's who he looks like. God damn, that's been driving me nuts.
Yeah. He looks exactly like him. It's ridiculous. Like, I feel almost like watching it, I couldn't take him seriously because I kept expecting him to go, "Oh, hi, Mark."
What if after he like
hello, doggy?
What if after he like tore that dude apart in the hotel room, if he's like, "I'm tearing you apart"? I would have been very okay with that.
Yeah, it would have been.
I'll put it to you this way. After I watched this movie for the first time the other night, if somebody would have come out to me and been like, "Hey, actually, you just watched the last remaining copy of John Carpenter's Vampires, and after you watch this, it will be destroyed and will never be able to be watched again," I would be like, "Okay,
that's fine."
Yeah, it's like I don't really, I have
nobody's
no
gonna miss it.
No, it's like I don't really want to rewatch it. The kills and the gore were exceptional. But that's not really enough to carry an hour and 40 minutes. I mean, almost 2 hours worth of movie. I wouldn't say that there's really quite enough of the good stuff to really carry this. So, I don't know, man. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I think this movie for me is like a 5 out of 10. Where are you at on it?
Well, there are things I really love about this movie. I said the performances from some of the actors, etc. I like some of the small details, like when James Woods walks into that store in the town that's basically been turned into vampires. There's a sign that says, "We have a deal with the bank. They don't sell beer. We don't cash checks."
No.
I like a lot of the small details. Some of the dialogue, like. Definitely, I'm not sure if James Woods improvised this or if it was written, but he says to the priest, "Lather up and shave your ass. You're the bait." Like, he has a lot of lines that are well written for him, or he came up with himself. They're not funny, but they fit the character.
It's like stuff some asshole would say.
Yeah, exactly. I like that none of the characters are really likable, except for maybe the priest. The priest he's pretty likable. In the end, though, yeah, it suffers from a lot of issues that maybe could have been solved just by a simple rewrite. Like, a simple rewrite of the script could have maybe streamlined the exposition and still included all that awesome vampire killing and stuff. Like, that was all cool.
That's a good point. It does seem kind of first drafty, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And I'm going to agree with you here. I think this is a middle of the road movie. It's a 5. It's for sure a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I've seen much worse. It's like, I like this much better than Fright Night.
Uh-huh. I did too, yeah.
But I don't like it nearly as much as, again, a Near Dark or Lost Boys or anything like that. And actually, speaking of Lost Boys, that's going to be the next flick that we cover.
Say what?
For No Vampire here on Dead and Lovely. Thank you guys so much for voting this flick up on the charts, because The Lost Boys is the shit.
Yeah, it's got old Buttermilk Sutherland in it.
It does. It has been a long time since I watched this. When's the last time you saw this?
Forever ago. I can't remember the last time I saw Lost Boys.
Yeah, same.
It was definitely in my tweens, probably.
Yeah, I think I was probably, maybe like 20 or so whenever I saw this for the last time. It's been a while since I saw the vampires and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we got that coming up. I'm very interested in how that goes, because I remember loving it. It's got Corey Feldman in it, who was, like, in every 80s movie.
Of course.
So, I hope that it's still awesome, and I believe it probably is.
Yeah, me too.
You guys can always contact us, obviously, at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com, or on the Twitters or the Instagrams at deadlovelypod, or our Facebook group.
There's so many fucking options.
Yeah. Where can they find you, Ben?
So they can find me on the Instagram and the Twitter at Ben Eller Guitar, as you guys drop me a follow. Steven with a V, where can they find you?
Well, if you're looking for me, you can find me on the block disobeying the law. Also, at Steven Spratling on Instagram and Twitter.
Oh, that's nice.
Steven with a V, the only way to spell it.
Well, that's wonderful. You guys be sure to drop us a line, and please be sure to go on iTunes and rate and review this podcast. It's really one of my proudest things that we've achieved, that we have been around such a relatively short amount of time and have so many wonderful reviews from you folks. So,
yeah, you guys are awesome.
Yeah, really. If you guys enjoy the show, please go on iTunes, rate and review this podcast. Use G-rated language, or else it will not post. That really helps us out a ton. So please go in there, rate and review our show. In the meantime, stay tuned next week for our coverage of Lost Boys, and we'll be catching up with you guys then. You guys have been delicious and tender and succulent, and we have been dead and lovely. Say goodnight, Steve.
Fuck Delilah.
Fuck Delilah. Bye.
Bye.